Over here is my master bedroom closet, and here's what we're working with. It's definitely not pretty at all. I have some huge plans for in here, but here's just a good overview of everything that I have in here. So now I'm just gonna go through everything super quickly and take out everything I know I'm never gonna wear. There are just a few things in here as well that will not be staying in here. So here's my new pile of clothes that I need to get rid of. And here's everything I'm taking out of my closet. Okay, now that I have everything in here that is going to be staying in here, I'm going to make some quick measurements so that I can do all of my planning. If you don't plan, then you plan to fail. So I measure everything, and I measure it twice, because if you measure it once and it's wrong, then when you are building your project, it's just going to be the biggest headache. So measure twice, if not 3 times. So I have my space dimensions here, and then I'm going to use my graph paper to plan out my entire shelving unit that I will be building myself. So I wrote down absolutely everything that is going to be going into this space. That way, as I plan, I can think about what's going in there and the best way to organize them into my closet. So the first thing I'm actually doing here with the graph paper is just drawing out basically a big rectangle, but it is the measurement of my wall, floor to ceiling, and then I will share with you guys how I like to use it. But I will actually take it and put it in my copy machine and make 4 or 5 copies. That way I can try out different designs and see what's gonna work best in my space. After lots and lots of measuring and remeasuring, because I measured some things wrong, and you always want to measure things twice. Anyway, this is what I came up with. See if I can get a good picture here for you guys. This will be the left side of my closet. This will be the right side of my closet. This is the view looking down on the closet. So this would be the door, and these are the dimensions of my closet. I'm gonna make my units 16 inches. I think typical is like 14, but I decided on 16 just because it's gonna fit a lot of my storage and everything better, which is the best part about being able to customize your design. So when I do my blueprints, I like to make sure I measure out things I know that are definitely gonna be going into the space, like my laundry basket, and that way I can move it around anywhere I need it to go. And I measured out like our suitcases that'll definitely be going in here, and a couple storage boxes. And then I measured how much space I need for my dresses, and I made just like a little length chart, as well as like for my shirts, and made sure I had enough space for my shoes and everything here. So that just makes it easier for the planning stage for me anyway. On the right side of my closet here, I'll have my laundry basket under a few drawers, and then I'll have a couple shelves up here, and then a bar across for some shirts, and another bar across for more shirts or pants. And then up here, I'm leaving for like 14 inches of storage. I'm gonna put my 2 suitcases up there on that side. I'm putting 14 inches for storage on this side as well. And then I have 13-inch cubbies that come down, and then 33 inches. And that's what I measured for my filming supplies, like my tripod and everything. So this space will be designated for my filming supplies. It's gonna be so nice. And then we got shirts above the shoes, and then I'll have space here for my dresses. This graph paper is 10 squares per inch, so it makes it super easy to measure out 10 squares. You just do each 10, and then for each square, I account that for 1 inch. All right, it is a demo day. There's really nothing I really need to demo in here, but I'm definitely taking out this shelf. So I just need to take absolutely everything out of here. So I actually borrowed this from my kids' playroom. It actually holds their like costumes or like dress up clothes. And it was like $7 at Target. I can't believe how cheap this thing is. But this is gonna save my life for just, I'm gonna hang everything that I wear on a regular basis on here. That way I'm not having to like dig through a pile, because I have nowhere else to hang my clothes while I'm working on my closet. So I was just gonna put everything that I wear on a super like regular basis on here, and then I realized I really don't have anywhere else to hang anything else. So I decided just to put all my clothes on this hanger, and I'm surprised it's actually holding them all pretty well. But anyway, we are going down to bare bones in this closet. This project is on its way. I'm so excited to be bringing you guys along with me on this journey. I love DIY, I love building things, I love doing things with my hands. This is what I really enjoy doing, so I'm so excited that I can share it with you. We are empty, and you know what's gonna motivate me to really get this done? The state my master bedroom is in. I'm gonna have to look at this pile every single night and every single morning, as well as all my clothes right here. I've taken these kind of shelves out before. It's been a little while, but I did it in our laundry room, and they are a pain in the tuchus, but let's get them out of here. Not gonna lie, when I got to this point, I was so afraid to take these out because I knew as soon as I took them out, there was no going back. So for years, I've had a vision of what I wanted my closet to look like. And as I was browsing Pinterest and searching for ideas, I came across View Along the Way. Her website is viewalongtheway.com, and I will make sure there's a link for her in the description because she has completely inspired me, and her whole blog post about how she did her closet is 100% going to be helping me with my own closet here. So I got 3 sheets of 3/4 inch MDF and had them cut them down to 16 inches so that they could fit better in my car. We are back in my closet and I need to remove my baseboards. So I just watched a couple YouTube videos on how to do that. I really want to take them off without damaging any of the drywall, and I don't want to damage my baseboards either because I want to reuse them in here. But I need to take them out so that I can cut them and resize them to where my built-in is going to go. So like this piece will be completely out. I will still need the back of this one in between where my built-in is, and you guys will see that in a little bit. I love YouTube so much for all the information that it provides, and all I did was looked up how to remove a baseboard without causing it damage, and there were so many different videos on how to do it. I think it also depends on how your baseboards were installed. Typically there's just caulk along the top, and you just have to slice through that with a razor blade, and then you just have to kind of shimmy something in between the baseboard and your drywall to pry it off. My baseboards had minimal nails as well, so I felt like mine were extremely easy to take off, and I didn't even have to use all the extra things or materials that a lot of the videos I was watching were using. The first one I was pulling out, I was being extra gentle with. It was my first time taking it off, so I didn't know what it felt like, but as soon as I got that piece off, I was getting so much better with each additional piece. I got so much faster. Like, I feel like I am a pro at taking off baseboard now. So after I get all of these off, I just took a razor to the leftover like caulking that was on my drywall, and that's just gonna get covered again anyway, so I wasn't too worried about what it would look like there. Are completely empty, and now I'm going to patch up all these holes with some dry decks. And when I'm filling a hole, I like using my finger. I think it makes it so much easier to smooth it out and make it look like it's not even there, especially once you put paint over it. We are in the garage. I have my MDF board here. I've already measured where I'm going to be cutting, so I should be able to bust through these really quick and get them to the size that I need them. So as soon as I brought this piece of wood to my miter saw, which is my favorite saw to use because I feel comfortable using it, it only goes to 12 inches, and I made my shelves 16 inches. So all I did was flipped it over so that I could cut the other side after I lined it up. That actually went extremely smoothly. Another thing you could do is make a sled for your miter saw, but I didn't find that I needed to do that. The other issue I ran into was my carpet only goes to where the baseboard is, but my wood is gonna go in that little groove, so they are not gonna line up if I keep them at the same height. So my board here that goes in the center, I'm gonna have to cut off this amount of wood so that everything is the same height. So now that I have all my boards cut to the heights that I need them to be. I'm going to make a whole bunch of dados for my shelves. So dados are basically just like an inlet or a groove that you make in the wood with a router, and then you can just put your shelves into that groove, and that's how they stay secure. All right, I have all of my dados cut. This is the part where I get a little bit nervous because we are gonna bring everything inside and do a dry fit. So this is the moment of truth. We're gonna find out if all my cuts and measurements are correct. And so I like doing a dry fit before I paint, just to make sure there aren't any surprises once I get everything in there. So let's bring it all in and put it all together. So I can't quite get all the pieces in, but this is a really good look at what it's gonna look like. So this is why I love dry fitting. So this shelf was actually supposed to go up here, but I have to cut it off by like a 1/4 inch or just like a little bit more. So I'll remeasure that. It's just hard to get those measurements with the dados and the wood and everything. So I cut that a little bit bigger than I thought I needed it. And now I can measure this out and see exactly how big I need to cut it. These are the boards that are gonna go on the top, and I just have to cut off like a 1/4 inch for them to fit on top here. The other reason I like dry fitting is because this is where like the shoes are gonna go. So I'm actually supposed to have another shelf right here, and I completely forgot the dado right here and right there for that extra shelf that's gonna go in the middle of that. So now I can mark where I'm going to make those dados, cut everything down to fit correctly, and then we can paint. I ended up needing to trim down about 4 pieces, but it is always better to have more than not enough. Like if you cut off too much, there's no going back, but if you cut pieces just a little bit too long, you can easily remeasure and take off that piece. And here is the board for my shoe rack. So I just need to make another dado right here and on this one. Okay, so I managed to dust everything off and laid it all flat. So now it is ready to be painted. I have a lot of painting to do here, but it is so much easier to do it when it's laying flat like this. I can just roller the whole thing rather than taking a brush to it. When it's like put together in the closet, it takes so long. This is so much faster, but like these 4, I only have to paint one side of these, but the rest of them I'll have to finish one side, flip it over, and then paint the other side. So those ones are gonna take a little longer. All right, the first step when it comes to painting these, after watching so many YouTube videos, I came to the conclusion that first I will be using some sanding sealer. I don't have to worry about the sides on these because they aren't gonna be showing. They're either gonna be on the back or the front, and on the front edge, I'm gonna be putting a molding. So I will not see any of the edges anyway, so I just have to paint the top and the bottom of these boards. So first step is some sanding sealer. So I am a perfectionist when it comes to painting. I notice all the little details when something is painted incorrectly, so I really wanted to make sure I did a good job on these shelves. So after watching so many different YouTube videos on how people have painted their MDF board, I found one that I really liked, and he used the sanding sealer first. So I will be doing 2 coats of this sanding sealer, and then that just kind of seals the wood so that it's a lot smoother, and it's also not going to absorb as much of the primer or paint either. So I like to use primer separate from my paint, so I'm using this to prime my boards first, and even after using that sanding sealer, the primer really absorbed into these boards, but that is okay. It's not supposed to look perfect at this point. So now I'm going to be using my ultra white Sherwin-Williams paint. The finish is in semi-gloss, which is most recommended for shelving. There is no primer in this. It was so close to covering these boards with just 1 coat. I was really hoping it would, but I did end up having to do 2 coats for it to look absolutely perfect. If you guys have any questions about this project, or if you are trying to do this yourself too, definitely leave any questions in the comments and I will reply as soon as possible. I'll also make sure there are any links or anything that you might need in the description of this video. So now we are going to paint my closet because it is super scuffed up, and I used the same exact paint that I used to cover my shelves. So everything is dry, everything is painted, everything is cut to size. It looks fantastic. I brought all the pieces into my closet and installed all the outer walls first. I made sure to do a lot of my screws in my little dado area. That way, once the shelf is in place, I'm not going to see any of those screws. These two screws are actually where I'm going to have a bar go across for my clothes, so I won't see those screws either. Okay, so putting these shelves together was a pain in the tuchus. You can see I have to use like an extra piece of wood so that I can hammer them into place. I'm using that extra piece of wood so that I don't damage my shelves at all. But I painted these out in the garage because I thought it was gonna make my life so much easier. The finish on my paint looks fantastic, but I didn't account for that extra space that the paint will take up in the dado, so I was having a hard time getting everything to fit perfectly, but in the end it was totally worth it. I just wish I had made my dados a little bit bigger. This is nowhere near the end. We still have to put all the trim on and cut it down to size. You can tell here I have no plans on looking cute for the rest of this video. This project took every ounce of extra time that I have in my day. So getting ready and looking cute for this video was not in my time frame that I had. So I'm just using the nail gun to install the trim around the sides. This just makes the shelves look a lot more finished off and bigger. So I actually use just plain old white wood. It's cheaper. It's also not as straight or is not as smooth as you would typically use like poplar, but poplar is so expensive and I was really trying to cut any costs that I could. So after sanding down the white wood, it actually worked out perfectly and it was like a fraction of the cost of poplar. So now I am cutting all of my baseboards. These were my original baseboards that I took off. So I just cut them down to size so that they fit. I also included it right here down below where my shoes are gonna go. Even though I won't see that spot, I know in my brain that it's there. So I just love all those little finishing touches. I'm using my nail gun to just put a few tacks into the baseboards so that they stay in the wall. And then it is time to use some wood filler. I'm gonna fill in all these holes from my nail gun, and I'm gonna use some caulking to go all around the sides of every single nook and cranny of this closet. The caulking really gives it that final touch. It fills in all those nooks and crannies and just makes it feel and look like just one big unit. So I like cutting mine at a nice angle. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a expert at this, but everything takes practice and there's no way you're gonna get better at it unless you try to do it yourself. So even though I'm not an expert, I'm still trying my best. I always just put a bead down and then I usually just rub my finger all the way across. I know experts can just do it super quick and do a super perfect line right away, but I am just your average Joe, I guess you could say, and I'm still practicing with these projects and I did my best, and that is all that matters. So every nook and cranny now has caulking. I even did the inside of all my shelves, all the borders of all the shelves, and filled in any gaps that you could visually see. So now I'm actually going to paint over all of those caulk lines with the same paint that I used for the shelves, and then that'll make it so that it's exactly the same color and it all just looks like one big unit. So there we are. I wish it were this easy to actually paint them, but it took me 6 hours to paint all that, which is just absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, it was worth it. But now I'm gonna install my closet rod. So I actually got 3 of these. They're from Project Source at Lowe's. I thought I was gonna need these to install them, but these ones actually just use 1 screw and it's at the end of each of these rods, so it makes it super easy to install them. So I had just measured out and pre-drilled some holes, and then all I had to do was install the rods and screw the pieces that came with it right into the wood. So my shelves are all 16 inches deep. So for my curtain rod, I ended up doing a measurement of like 4.5 inches, like down from the top, and 4.5 inches in from my trim, and that is where I put the center of my rod. But the standard is just to install your rod at least 11 inches away from the back of your wall. For the height of my rods, I had it pre-planned that with my blueprints. So if you want to go back and see my blueprints, that is in part 1 of this video series. I still have some really fun finishing touches in here to share with you, but this is basically the shell of my closet. It looks so good. So I got this gigantic mirror from Old Time Pottery. It's a store near us, and they have huge, fantastic mirrors at a really good price. I actually got this one on sale, so it's actually only $75 instead of that $99.99, and I'm just obsessed with how big this thing is. So to hang this mirror up, I had to actually use my hammer drill because this is an exterior wall, and here in Florida we have concrete for our exteriors because of hurricanes, so it's a pain in the butt to install anything on these walls, but it was totally worth it to do it for this mirror. It's time. Okay, so I decided to put everything back in my closet first, so I'm super excited to get all of this stuff out of my room. I've been living in a crazy disaster of a master bedroom for the past month, so I'm going to bring all this back in, and then we will do our reveal. This closet is like a dream come true. This little lamp here I got off of Amazon, and we'll make sure to share with you guys because I'm so obsessed with it. We have our large mirror here. All of my shirts and tank tops are on the right. Put all my pants on that bottom rod. I have a spot here for my laundry, and I am planning on making a couple drawers there for my jewelry, but I will be able to do that later. I have all my sheets and blankets on this side, and then of course storage all along the top of my closet here. I made sure that they were big enough to hold a standard storage box, and I had made sure that these cubbies were the 13 by 13 so that they fit those like square 13 by 13 baskets that you find at like Target or anywhere else. And this area is perfect for my filming supplies. Got my shoes and long sleeves, and then my dresses are all here on the right, exactly where I had planned a spot long enough for them to fit. That is my closet. Now here is a quick breakdown of all the costs. So I had tried to make as close of a model to what I had done in my closet, and I got a rough estimate of about maybe $1,300 for an IKEA closet system that wouldn't have been, I feel like, as custom or as sturdy. So just for the paint, the primer was $13.98. My paint, I got 2 full gallons of white paint. That was $77.96 total. My wood filler was about $10, and then caulking I got 3 at $5.78, so that was $17.34. I had gotten 3 closet rods, so that came to a total of $35.94. The 3 sheets that I got of 3/4 inch MDF were $57.98, so that's a total of $173.94. And then all the trim was 1x2 whiteboard, and I had to use 7 of those, so that total came to $30.52. And our grand total after putting everything together was only $358.96. That does not include the light or this mirror, but the light is linked, and that is only like $30, and I had found that mirror at our local Old Time Pottery for $75. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to hit that thumbs up. It helps my channel out so much. Leave a comment, let me know what you think of this project, and definitely ask any questions you might have. I will answer them as soon as possible. I make a weekly cleaning, organizing, or decorating video here on YouTube, so if you want to see more content like this from me, definitely hit that subscribe button and click that bell so that you don't miss any of my future videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all right here next week in a brand new video.